Okay, we're making kombucha. As you said, yes, come from China, and it spread throughout Europe and into Russia. Is very popular with kombucha, and Germany started to make it. It's a fermented food, and it's very delicious, and it's healthy, and it's been fermented. It's basically sweet tea that has some cultures and bacteria put into it. There is a lot of gut healthy bacteria in it, and it's tangy sweet, and it's carbonated. It does use cane sugar. It is not too sweet because you don't need much sugar, and the bacteria consumes a lot of the sugar, but there's still some left over. And you can make it with there's ways you can make it with low calorie sugars, although the fermenting process is not recommended. It's just afterward, like you put the stevia drops in it, whatever. It can be organic, and a lot of people like fruit juice with it, and I used to blend it into smoothies. And there is a small amount of alcohol and caffeine, not enough to get drunk and not enough to keep you awake. It's just, by the way, all of this whole presentation we're going to put on the Facebook, so you have links and all kinds of things.
What is the Facebook page?
It is the United Preppers Group, Hun.
Yes.
Sure. Yes, questions about it.
What? Sorry.
United
The
Preppers.
United Preppers is the name of your Facebook?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like designated plaque, or just type in United Preppers and
Should be.
It should just come up. There are a couple of like United Preppers, but ours is like
Interlinked.
and
I'll share it with you because I like the page. I'll share it with you.
Okay.
All right, very good. So again, I'm not an expert. Our expert was not available for whatever reason, and but I've done this a few times, so like I said, I can answer any questions I can. All right, so the upfront work is less than half an hour, which is good because I'm a lazy person, so I needed it to be easy. And the fermentation, where you set it on the shelf, it happens over a few weeks. First stage in the summertime, about 7 days, and then wintertime, 12 days or so. And the second stage, which is optional, it adds the carbonation. So the first thing you want to get is a SCOBY. Show it for the video. There we go. Get SCOBY. SCOBY is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, also called a mother. You can find them through websites with Google. You can find them on Craigslist. I've found them. I've gotten them on Craigslist. You can find them, Facebook Marketplace, or just ask around. Yeah.
My favorite brew website, Fermentology.
Oh.
I'm sorry, no, Fermentaholics.com.
Fermentaholics? I think I've heard of that.
It's out of Florida, which I
Uh-huh.
like, and they have excellent customer service.
Oh, cool.
So, good
Fermentaholics.com.
company. Yes, Fermentaholics.
If there's anybody around you that's brewing it, they're inevitably going to have some extra SCOBY. That stuff just multiplies. It's like tribbles. You just,
Every batch you get
Yeah.
creates a
yeah,
new flavor,
you just
so.
can't. So the likelihood of finding one is pretty good. So you want to ensure that it comes with the starter tea. The starter tea is going to help it get going. It was what somebody had used to make a batch, and they give you 2 cups of tea with it. Sometimes you don't get them, and you can make them. There is a procedure right there to make them, but if you can get it, it's all the better. You can also grow one of these from a bottle from the store. That stuff, the clear bottles, the GTs with the clear, GT got in trouble for selling kombucha in the early days with the government because of the slight alcohol content. I mean, it's just barely any. It's like 1% or 2%.
I think I remember something
Trace
about that.
amounts.
So
Yeah.
they got in trouble. So what they did is they pulled it all off the shelves. They put out 2 different varieties. One has used to be brown bottles, now it's green, now it's blue bottles, and the blue bottles are the classic formula. These have an extra bacteria that they put in there to halt the fermentation process. So is less alcoholic. They can sell it to children. So, but anyway, if you're going to grow it, get the blue bottles because the blue is the natural, like the original formula. And these people have done it, but it's not as successful. It's got that extra bacteria in it.
Now you're saying blue, but all of the labels, just FYI.
I mean the bottle, yeah.
All of the labels have different colors based on whatever the flavor
Yeah, the
is.
blue, and I'll have a picture of the blue.
The actual, it's cobalt blue jar, right?
Yeah, it's like a deep blue.
And where do you pick that up?
I've got it mostly in Jacksonville. I don't know anywhere around here that sells it. Might be at Publix, but you could also try the liquor section of Publix or the liquor store because it has just enough alcohol that maybe you have to be 21 to get it.
Or something like Diane's in St. Augustine,
Yeah.
where they have something
They
like
probably
that.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet somebody's in Gainesville's got it.
Yeah,
I don't know. You might try Ward's.
okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. They got
Anyway.
all kinds of stuff that you would never find anywhere else.
And you really only need one, although if you start experimenting, it's a good idea to have more than one. All right, so your supplies, you want to have something to steep your tea with, because it's making sweet tea. You can use tea bags. A lot of people prefer to do loose leaf tea, and they use things like a cloth tea bag. A French press is good, because when the tea leaves bloom, they expand. So a French press is good. A pot and strainer, because they like to expand, a small tea ball is not recommended. You want to have a gallon jar, and you want to have a thermometer. These are really ideal, and they're very inexpensive, they're like $2. They just stick on the
Pet
side.
department.
Mhm.
Pet department.
Yeah,
We have
that's true, yeah.
snake.
That's
I
what
don't
they
know if the
stick on.
temperature range is the same, but maybe it is. If it-
I think theirs is like full temperature, I think.
If the temperature range is the same, but anyway, around the top you want a cloth or paper cover. I used to use paper towels, but coffee filter or fine weave cheesecloth will do. And then you want a rubber band around the top. You want, if you want to do carbonated, I never did, but if you wanted to do them, you want 16-ounce bottles. Each of these batches do 7 or 8 bottles of 16-ounce bottles. And there's a kind called swing top, and I'll show you a picture later, but it's like a wire and the cork that comes off. You do not want to use beer bottles because they're too thin.
Like a gross bottle.
Yeah,
Will they
it makes
break
more
with the
pressure.
pressure?
Mhm. Makes more pressure. There's a slight risk of
I
explosion.
can say.
Where if you buy the box of swing top bottles, save the box, you know, put them in the box and put them in your cabinet. That way, if there is an explosion, they'll just be contained in the box.
I did have my first bottle bomb about a month ago. It was a mess.
Oh boy! And then it's a really good idea to also have a pitcher to pour into the bottles and a funnel to get it in the bottles. So, yeah, not a SCOBY, a SCOBY. The first, for your ingredients, you want 12 cups of room temperature filtered or spring water. Tap, if it's good quality. I don't know what the tap water is like around here. I think everybody has wells. But anyway, you don't want distilled water because the SCOBY does need some of the minerals in the water. And then you want 2/3 of a tablespoon of tea leaves or 2 tea bags. You want at least 3/4 cup of sugar, cane sugar. We'll talk about other options for sugar later, but to start, when you're just keep it simple, go with cane sugar. You can use more if you want, but I wouldn't use less because it does the bacteria and yeast needs to feed, needs to eat the carbs, so it has to have that. And as we mentioned, the SCOBY, which can be grown, and the starter tea, which can be made. So with all the ingredients, ready to go?
Real quick, because it just popped into my brain. Can you use like Lipton, or is it just
Yeah.
any kind?
Yeah, any kind of sweet tea. Now, you
Okay.
asked me this morning about decaf, and I don't know. I hadn't seen anybody do it, but I have a feeling that the bacteria doesn't need caffeine. So,
Well, you
Yeah.
could use like a white tea or something that
yeah,
is
yeah,
very
white
low.
tea's fine.
Yeah.
White tea's fine.
How about coffee? Or is that too acidic?
No, I don't. I've never seen anybody do it with coffee. I don't know.
There is a process,
Um,
I don't know what it is, but it's out there, goes under a different name.
It might work. I don't.
Yeah.
I could look into it. Let me see. I need something to write with.
Here, I'll give you one of the.
If you're just, it's worth experimenting with, but I would start.
I was
with
out thinking I
tea.
might try that.
Yeah.
These are actually, these are green tea,
Oh, okay.
which
okay.
is, it's called
And you
June.
made these?
Yes, it's
Thank
called June, but, it's made with green tea and honey instead of cane sugar.
Okay.
Interesting. Kind of like a mead.
I'm gonna look up and see about decaf tea as well. I'll look about coffee. All right, so first thing you want to do is get the jar, clean it with soap and water. If you're remaking a batch, you can just you don't have to clean it at that point if you're just going right into the next batch. But if you're, first starting out, you don't want to introduce weird stuff. You want to set 8 cups of water aside. Bring 4 cups of water to boil and put your tea leaves in and steep it for 15 minutes. It's going to steep there. It's going to make a really thick, batch. And you're going to then stir in your sugar until it's dissolved. You want to strain out the leaves. You're going to pour it into the jar. And you have that thermometer on the side to add room temperature water until the temperature is between 70 and 90. put in your starter tea, and you put in your SCOBY, cover it, put on your rubber band. That's it. It's not hard. Like if I can do it, and I did it successfully the first time, they're like, okay. All right, so you want to let it sit at room temperature between 65 and 85. And there is a link here for some good places to put it and some places not to put it. You want to have decent airflow. It doesn't have to be like a fan, just make sure it's not stuffy. You don't want it to be in the sun. And it's delicate, so you're not going to jar it, look at it and look, just look, don't touch. Let it do its thing, because it will get disturbed and you'll do crazy things. 70 degrees is ideal. Colder takes longer, and the warmer you get it, the more vinegary it might get. So you can do warmer, but you have to be like on top of it. You have to be every at day 3 or 4, you're starting to test it instead of day 5. And then if you have any issues with low and high temperature, there's a link to an in-depth article about where, what you can do. They talked about warming it with some lights and Christmas lights and things like that. What to expect. So during the fermentation process, you might have some questions. There's a good link there to that discusses what you're going to see while it's fermenting. And then on day 5 or earlier, if it's really hot, you want to give it a taste test to see if it's too sweet, or if you want to make it ferment longer, and you want to see that it's not vinegary. And if you have never tasted it, it's a good idea to have first tasted some from the store, so you know what to expect when you make your own. All right, so the second, I never did this, but it adds carbonation. These little guys right here, that swing top bottle. And so you want to clean the bottles. There's a procedure here for cleaning the bottles. And then if you're going to use fruit juice, you pour in 1/4 to 1/3 cup. And then this link here talks about the kinds of recipes that you can try. Then you want to remove the SCOBY, remove the tea, and 2 cups of tea set aside. Now, if you're about to make some more, just put it in a bowl. But you can make a SCOBY hotel if you're not ready to make more. It's called a SCOBY hotel. And you do not want to put it in the fridge, because it does something to like it goes into dormancy or something, and it's just, you don't want to put it in the fridge.
What if you're gonna take a trip?
Yeah, you put it in the hotel. Just put it in the SCOBY hotel.
How long will it last for?
Oh, I don't know.
Months.
Yeah, in the hotel.
There's some people that have got
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
recipes.
Eventually, you want to add a little more of your tea
Sugar
and
and
sugar
tea
to
and
it, just to refresh it.
Uh-huh.
But it'll keep, like, if you just need to pause everything.
Yeah.
Your life's
Okay.
gone crazy. You just want to
Yeah.
pause it. Just.
I remember one time leaving mine for a while, but I don't remember beyond that. And then before you pour it into the bottles, it's so important, very, very important. Stir the remaining kombucha. You're going to distribute all the bacteria and cultures that way. If you stir really good before you start to pour it. So you want to pour it into the bottle. You're going to leave a 1/2-inch headspace. You're going to dry the tops of the caps and the bottoms of the bottles and the bottoms of the lid. And you want to seal it tight, because it's going to try to get away from you. For screw-on lids, there is a rubber gripper that I linked there too, that will let you just get it on really tight. Then you want to ferment 2 to 3 days, as I said, in a box and cupboard in case you have explosion, and the original packing box is good for that purpose. And then you want to move it to the refrigerator like it's a cold drink. That will slow down the carbonation process, and so you put it in the fridge, and then once you bring them down to the refrigerator temperature where it's nice and cool, give them a taste test and see if there's enough carbonation for your liking. You can always bring them back up to room temperature, put them back in the cabinet, and let them ferment for another day. And then there's a link there for some more different kinds of carbonation tips. Now you can see what she's doing here. She's got the funnel and she uses the pitcher. Doesn't use the glass jar to try and pour it. She puts that into the pitcher. It takes the pitcher with her hand, and just a whole lot more convenient. All right, so we got, what about low sugar options? If it's
I like your graph.
Yeah.
Alright, so if it's already pretty low in sugar, but maybe you want less. I definitely do. So, 1/3, as I mentioned earlier, 3/4 cup is the minimum for healthy. If you don't, you can get molds because it just starve and it gets susceptible to molds. So if you want less sugar, you want a longer first ferment, so you let it sit longer on the shelf. But if you wait too long, it turns into vinegar, so there's a balance there. And you could water it down because you're still getting lots of good bacteria. And you can use these after fermenting, not for fermenting. The stuff will die with monk fruit, xylitol, and stevia and things like that. So, all right. Common mistakes. A lot of people worry about mold, but you shouldn't see any. I never did. If you want to use at least the minimum amount of sugar, your SCOBY is there, acts kind of like a house for the bacteria and the fungus, and so the SCOBY protects against mold. You want to watch your temperatures, and you want to keep your jar clean. Here's some links to some, look at what does mold actually look like, because it kind of looks like mold. It looks kind of sometimes. Yeah, it looks weird. It looks alien. So, so again, there's a couple links here for some common problems and things like don't bump it, don't put the SCOBY in the fridge, don't use flavored or herbal teas up front. You can experiment with that later, but when you're first doing it, standard black tea. Herbal tea, definitely no, because the SCOBY needs something in the black tea that it eats. It's favorable to that, only to that. And so don't use an herbal tea, peppermint tea, or anything like that. Now you can flavor those later, mix it in. So, and then at first, don't use sugar substitutes until you're ready to experiment. And then you always want to stir, as it says. Anybody remember Handyman from? I had forgotten about that until I did a search. I did a search for trouble memes, and it came up. I forgot all about Handyman.
I don't think they could do it anymore.
No, they couldn't do that today. All right, so there's the blue bottle we were talking about earlier that you have to be 21 to get. If you have extra, if you're going to experiment, do have extra SCOBYs on hand and starter tea in case you mess up. So different kinds of fruit juices there. Grape is my absolute favorite, ridiculously good, so good. You could try green tea, white tea, English breakfast. I said decaf, but I need to confirm that. I need to just double check that. Decaf tea, maybe. Oolong, things like that. Loose leaf is best, and avoid herbals, as we said. Your sugars, you got white brown, turbinado, all these other ones I can't pronounce, sucanat. So you can try those because they're all basically sugar. Honey is possible. Some people say no. Some people say yes. You can do honey if you, first of all, avoid raw honey because there'll be bacterial competition if you try to put it in your brew. So you want to do, pasteurized honey from the store. And you want to avoid honey blends. A lot of stuff that you see in the store, especially like a Dollar Tree, that ain't honey.
Like flavored honey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sugar syrup.
Honey flavored corn syrup.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. In fact, I didn't even look into corn syrup. I think they don't recommend it. But honey at a rate of 2/3 cup per batch. Molasses, good trace minerals for 3/4 cup per batch. Maple syrup. If you can find B grade, that'd be better. That's less processed, so maybe better. And you want to avoid, again, commercial brands with corn syrup. And so because of that note, I read that. Because of that note, probably corn syrup is not a good idea. I'll write that like Cairo.
I wouldn't imagine you wouldn't want to.
If you're trying to,
corn syrup anyway.
Yeah, if you're trying to be
healthy.
And that
yeah.
just doesn't scream healthy.
yeah, that wouldn't be work. That wouldn't be a good idea. And the rate of maple syrup is 3/8 to 1/2 cup per batch because it's pretty sweet. Agave, yes, you can. It's not as good because you don't have as much gut bacteria. Brown rice syrup, yes, that's a 1-for-1. Date syrup, 3/4 cup per batch. Do not do coconut palm because they don't know why, but it may be antimicrobial or maybe a lower glycemic index, so they would say don't do coconut palm.
It is lower glycemic, I've
Yeah.
looked into it,
Yeah,
and it just, it
and the
doesn't
bacteria
work
needs
for some things.
needs that to eat. And then you can experiment with different types of sugar, different kinds of tea, different kinds of fermentation, and again, just be careful not to go too long. So extra SCOBY, there's a procedure in this link to how to package it up and pass it on. You can compost it, you can actually eat it. I wouldn't want to eat it, but you can put it in smoothies because it's got all that bacteria and stuff. You can, blend it in a smoothie. You can feed it animals. You can make what?
My chickens.
I'm
get-
just reading
yeah.
ahead.
Oh.
When I used to drink wine, I used to drink the dregs.
Yeah.
When I'd rack it, I'd
Yeah.
drink the dregs. I put them in a jar, put a lid on, leave it on the counter, drink it room temperature.
Oh. So yeah, skincare and beauty products. Maybe you keep it around for Halloween decorations. It's pretty weird looking. Now here's some resources. This book has thousands of 5-star reviews, so it's a really good resource. There's a couple websites. The website you mentioned, I want to put on the, what was it again? That was you mentioned.
Fermentaholics.
Fermentaholics.
.com.
Since we're talking about fermented, has anybody ever had fermented vegetables?
Yes.
Oh man, I'll never forget fermented carrots. They're
I've been experimenting
unbelievable.
with that
Yeah.
with fermented, honey
Yeah.
fermented garlic,
Oh,
honey fermented jalapenos.
oh,
The bomb.
We watched the same videos, you must.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't
Try-
tried them though.
Oh, yeah.
but I've
try
seen
fermented
videos.
carrots sometime.
I will try that
Outrageous,
next. Yeah.
outrageous. It's such a different flavor and so good.
One thing you didn't put on that one is to tell you, when I was working up the ginger bug and researching that, the lady who does all kinds of fermented stuff said that if you're going to get into fermentation, when you do your ferments, don't put them next to each other.
Mhm.
Put them in different parts of your house so that I guess they don't cross contaminate and get that mold growth going.
I
your
haven't had
mileage
a
may
problem with
vary.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things because people are so scared of like it's
Mhm.
gonna grow mold. It's on,
I used to do fermented eggs, beets and eggs and stuff like that.
Yeah?
And I used to do them in a half-gallon jar, and I loved them.
Huh.
I mean, I could a jar about every 4 days.
Yeah.
Pickled eggs.
Okay.
One day, I had a jar go bad. I don't know what I did wrong, but I opened it up and I was like, that don't smell right. And so I
Fermented.
reached in and I picked up one that was mushy. And I was like, nope. Put the lid back on, went out to the compost and dumped it in the compost. And I haven't made any since then. It was such a turnoff. I did.
Is that right? All right, so does anyone have any questions?
I commend your slideshow,
Thank you.
I really do, amazing pictures, it's so cute.
I have a lot of fun with it. All right.
I will just add that it's very forgiving,
Yeah,
super easy.
yeah,
Just try it.
yeah. It's hard to go wrong with it.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Cool. Yeah, fermented stuff. I now eat carnivore, so I don't do anything vegetables. But if I were, I'd be doing lots and lots of.
Oh, and
Yeah.
honey fermented ginger. I don't know how far different that is from the ginger bug. Like I said, that's why I came to learn how to do that. But I use that for my tea. I'll make
These are 4 different
you know,
kinds?
it's not
No,
just
that
in
is
your fridge.
peach.
Right,
Oh, this is all
right,
peach.
right.
If it's
I
fermented
never even
in
thought
honey,
of fermenting that.
Yeah, peach kombucha.
Oh, we got a sample.
Yes, you do.
Wow.
Yep. And the next one is what?
This one's guava.
Guava.
Ooh.
Does anyone have
Oh, we have
allergies?
Guayaba.
Okay.
I like guava.
And
Yeah,
what is
exactly
this
fair.
first one that we're trying?
That's
That
peach.
is called peach
Peach. I can
paradise.
smell it.
Oh,
The peach in it.
oh, yeah.
Shame you didn't find any grape, but I think they only come in the alcoholic.
They do not carry any of the alcoholic at
Yeah.
Publix or Walmart. So
You can go to the upscale cities.
You gotta go
It's not as
bougie.
strong as I thought it was gonna be.
well, and the other thing I would add is when you're adding fruits and juices to your own brews, I prefer the juice because if you put whole fruit in your bottle, and by the time you drink that, then you get chunks.
Yeah.
Get chunks. What about puree? The couple people
Yeah,
recommended
you could
puree.
do puree. There's
Yeah.
like one juice brand that I really like. It doesn't have any preservatives in it because you don't want to kill anything that's happening in there. Any of the bacteria that's
Yeah.
built up, you don't want to kill it with whatever you're adding
Yeah.
to it. So just, watch what you're putting in there.
I used to, what did I say? I forgot what I said.
This one I'm sending down is ginger aid.
Gingerade.
And where did these come from?
Public.
Now the regular clear bottles you can get at Walmart, and that's actually where I got these. And they have different flavors. Actually, they have
Are those shelf stable or are they in the cooler?
oh, you have to go to the cooler. For
Yeah,
these.
if you started,
Yeah.
they could over carbonate and blow up. So,
See, that's my thing. I just recently, someone had given us a friendship bread starter. I don't know if you've heard it.
Or-
Oh,
yeah.
man.
It was in a gallon
That's a
jar,
commitment.
and that sucker exploded. That glass was like shrapnel.
Oh,
I'm
man.
still finding it in my house.
When I was a kid, my mom used to make a friendship cake, and it took a month to make the stuff. She put it in a
Yeah.
jar, she put a can of fruit in, some sugar, and
Yeah,
stir
exactly.
it. And she put the
Like
lid back
candy.
on, but she didn't screw it. She just set it on top.
That
And
was
then-
my mistake.
And then she'd come in and she'd add more sugar to it and stir it, and maybe if it's fruit time, she'd add fruit to it. And I found out that it was like wine. And I was like 14, 15 years old.
You get drunk on friendship cake.
She's like, I keep adding stuff to this and it's evaporating so fast. I said, keep thinking that, that's good.
yeah, so it's really good stuff. I mean, I just enjoy the taste of it. I could just drink it without even thinking about the health benefits.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's a good replacement for Pepsi or whatever.
Yeah.
How long you been doing it?
I've been drinking kombucha for years, but I've been brewing it for about a year.
Mhm.
It's expensive, no doubt about that. And
Yeah.
you'll want to experiment with different brands because some are stronger than others.
Yes.
Some of them I just
Some are really disgusting.
Yeah, but some like the Synergy and Hum and the I don't remember all Big Easy.
When you say it's expensive, I think you mean the bottles, right? Not
Yeah,
like-
the
'cause
bottles.
making it at home
They're
is
like
pennies.
they're like $3 or $4 a bottle.
Yeah,
Oh,
making it
wow.
at home is like pennies.
And
right?
if you have one every day,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
up.
that, yeah.
And plus, if you do it yourself, then you can, control what's in it.
Customize.
And
That's a
customize.
Starbucks coffee.
Yeah. And I would get them, I would pick whatever's on sale.
What's this last one called?
This is, I have no idea the flavor. It's just called Island Bliss.
Well,
I had to find out.
the guayaba was stronger than the peach. It had a little bit stronger flavor to it.
Yeah.
The batch probably varies. I bet they don't always have perfect batches every time. They're a big company, but you never know. It's a live culture.
And that's
so
a good,
they
yeah,
get
that's a
the-
good thing, because it's
Yeah.
a living
Yeah,
product.
you don't
and
want
so
it-
it's not gonna be,
Yeah, that's the reason why people buy Doritos. They're consistent. Consistently bad.
or Pepsi.
Yeah, or Pepsi, right.
Alright, and this one I'll push down. Like I said, it's called Island Bliss, but it doesn't say what flavors it is, so. They are very strong. That one's stronger scented.
That one's a bit much.
What made you go all squinty?
What is it?
That's that island.
Island Bliss. This one I've tried. Is the Island Bliss?
This one. This
That
is
one's
the island.
okay. I'm
Oh,
gonna
the
give it.
third one was the
Little sip.
ginger, right?
Yes.
Man,
I-
you
Yes.
can tell. It's good.
That's like pineapple. No, what is that?
I'll bet it's got like pineapple and mango and
Got an herb in
there
it.
is a mango flavored one that's really good.
There is, yeah, they have some nice flavors. If you really want a good selection, if you ever are in the area in Jacksonville Beach, there's a place called Native Sun Jacks. And they've got not only the clear bottles, but the dark amber colored bottles. They have the cobalt blue that you talked
Yeah.
about. And they have all these
Whole
flavors.
Foods too.
So yeah, you could go and just get you a bunch to try. Because it's better for you to get one to try than get a whole case of it and know that it's utterly disgusting.
Yeah.